Captain Elias Ward adjusted his suit nervously as he stepped into the grand chamber of the Zirin Palace. The walls shimmered with colors that no human eye could have imagined, reflecting a light that seemed to have no source. Tall, crystalline structures stretched to the high ceilings, and floating platforms hovered above the polished floor. Everything about the place screamed power, sophistication, and centuries of alien tradition. Elias swallowed hard. He had faced countless negotiations before, but nothing could prepare him for meeting the alien Queen Vera herself. The chamber doors opened silently behind him, and he walked in, keeping his back straight, trying to exude confidence. Vera sat on her throne at the far end, her presence alone commanding attention. Her skin was pale blue, almost glowing under the shifting lights, and her eyes were deep pools of gold. She had a regal aura that was both intimidating and mesmerizing. Despite the strict diplomatic protocols, Elias couldn't help but feel a pull of curiosity, and something stranger. A flutter of nervous excitement. Captain Ward, a translator, hissed in his ear. "Welcome to Zirin territory." Elias nodded and bowed slightly. "Thank you," he replied, though his voice felt small in the immense chamber. He glanced around. The Council of Zirin advisors sat in concentric semicircles, their expressions unreadable. They were humanoid in shape, but unmistakably alien. Elongated limbs, multiple eyes, and bioluminescent patterns crawling along their skin. Every one of them was observing him with an intensity that made him sweat. Vera's gaze finally fell on him, and for a moment he felt like a child being measured against a ruler. "Captain Ward," she said, her voice smooth and melodic, yet carrying a weight that seemed to vibrate through the air. "We are aware of humanity's request to establish trade agreements." "You speak for your species?" Elias swallowed and nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty. Humanity seeks cooperation, trade, and mutual understanding. We believe a partnership between our civilizations can benefit both of us." He paused, then, feeling the tension of the moment, tried to lighten the mood. "And if I may, you'd be a lovely wife." The words hung in the air like a sudden spark in a silent room. The Zirin advisors froze, their patterns flickering in rapid sequences Elias couldn't interpret. He realized immediately that he had crossed some invisible line. His heart sank. His attempt at humor had backfired, or so he thought. Then, to his utter shock, Vera leaned forward slightly. Her golden eyes seemed to pierce through him. A quiet ripple went through the chamber. "I accept," she said. Her voice was calm, almost amused, but every word carried authority. Elias blinked. He could feel the heat rising to his face. His mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I didn't mean—" Vera held up a hand and the room fell silent. "No, Captain Ward, your words are unusual, but they carry a truth my council finds interesting. Perhaps your species is more bold than we anticipated," the translator whispered in his ear. "Bold is favorable in Zirin terms, though unusual." Elias's mind raced. "Bold, favorable? And she accepted what?" He cleared his throat and forced a bow. "I did not intend. Truly, this is a diplomatic meeting." Vera's smile was slight, almost imperceptible, but it changed the entire atmosphere. "Do not fear, human. We will discuss the meaning of your words later. For now, let us talk trade." The advisors relaxed slightly and the room returned to its normal rhythm, but Elias could not stop glancing at Vera. Every movement she made was graceful, deliberate, and commanding. She was unlike any ruler he had encountered, and somehow, the spark of humor and daring in his words had intrigued her. The negotiations began formally. Elias presented humanity's plans for trade and technology, food resources, and cultural exchange. Vera asked sharp, calculated questions, and he realized she understood human concepts faster than anyone he had ever taught or explained. She did not simply listen. She analyzed, calculated, and responded in a way that challenged him at every step. Hours passed. The chamber seemed to shrink around Elias as he tried to answer every question and meet every expectation. But something remarkable happened. As the meeting continued, Vera occasionally gave him subtle nods or a brief smile, as if silently approving his ideas. The tension eased, replaced by a strange curiosity on both sides. At one point, an advisor interrupted. "Your Majesty, his humor, this proposal, it could be interpreted as dishonorable. Our species does not treat jest lightly in matters of alliance." Vera's golden eyes turned to the advisor, sharp as a blade. "And yet," she said, "the human's jest may hold potential." "Let him speak freely." Let us see what his species truly offers. Elias felt a shiver of relief. Somehow he was being given a chance despite his mistake, or maybe because of it. He realized that humanity's greatest strength was its unpredictability, its ability to think outside the rigid frameworks that governed alien minds. When the meeting finally adjourned, Vera motioned for him to follow. He obeyed, his curiosity outweighing caution. She led him through a maze of corridors, each one more dazzling than the last. The walls glowed with information streams, alien symbols flowing like water. The palace was alive, and it seemed to watch him with silent intelligence. Finally, they arrived at a balcony overlooking a city unlike any human metropolis. Towers of glass-like crystal twisted into the sky. Suspended bridges connected buildings in impossible ways, and vehicles floated silently above. Light danced across the surface of the city, reflecting a rainbow of colors that made his head spin. "You see," Vera said, her voice calm, "our civilization thrives on order and calculation. Yet sometimes a spark of chaos, unpredictable, bold, and creative, can reveal paths we could not foresee." Elias nodded slowly. I think I understand, Your Majesty. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but we adapt. We learn. We improvise when necessary." Vera turned to face him, her expression unreadable. "That is exactly why you intrigue me. Your species has survived in conditions far worse than mine could imagine. You possess qualities many of my advisors do not respect, yet they may prove essential in our future." Elias felt a strange mix of pride and apprehension. He had never imagined a simple joke could lead to such deep reflection, let alone catch the attention of an alien queen. He realized that the path ahead would be far more dangerous and fascinating than any mission he had undertaken. "Captain Ward," Vera continued, "tomorrow you will witness the trial of trust. It is a demonstration, a journey and a challenge. You must show the true nature of your species if you wish to continue this unusual agreement." Elias swallowed. "Trial of trust, Your Majesty. I will do my best." Vera's eyes gleamed with a strange intensity. "Do not misunderstand, human. This is not merely for me. It is for your people, your species. You will face dangers you cannot yet comprehend. Success will change the way the galaxy sees humans forever." The weight of her words pressed on him. He had faced battles, storms, and negotiations before, but nothing prepared him for what lay ahead. And yet beneath the fear, a spark of excitement flickered. This was humanity's moment to shine, not through brute strength, but through wit, courage, and ingenuity. As he left the balcony, Elias glanced back at Vera. For the first time, he felt a connection that went beyond diplomacy. It was not love, not yet, but a recognition of mutual respect and challenge. He realized that in this galaxy humans were small, fragile, and underestimated, yet perhaps, just perhaps, they could change everything. That night, Elias could not sleep. He paced in the guest quarters, running scenarios in his head. The trial of trust sounded dangerous. Entire civilizations could be watching. Failure was unthinkable, but he remembered her words. Success will change the way the galaxy sees humans forever. He grinned. A joke, a spark of humor had brought him here. Now it would take all his courage, wit, and human ingenuity to survive. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. Perhaps it was time to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. Outside, the Zyran city shimmered under twin moons, alien and breathtaking. Elias knew that by dawn his journey would begin. The trial of trust would test every skill, every instinct, and every ounce of human determination. And somehow he had a feeling that Vera, the alien queen who had accepted his jest, would be watching every step of the way. Humanity had arrived in the stars, and in the face of a galaxy that doubted them, Captain Elias Ward was about to prove that humans were not to be underestimated. The first light of Zyran dawn cut through the crystalline towers, spilling a kaleidoscope of colors across the city. Captain Elias Ward stood at the edge of the palace balcony, taking in the view with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Today was the day of the trial of trust, a test he could not fully comprehend, yet one that would define humanity's place in this alien civilization. Vera appeared beside him, her presence silent but commanding. She wore ceremonial garb that shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the early sun. "Are you prepared, Captain Ward?" she asked, her golden eyes fixed on him. Elias swallowed. "I will do my best, Your Majesty, but I must admit I have no idea what this trial will involve." Vera's smile was almost imperceptible. That is part of the trial. Trust is earned when one steps into the unknown and prevails. Follow me. They moved through the palace, descending through corridors that twisted impossibly and opened into an immense chamber at the base of the structure. The room was circular, its walls made of translucent material that glowed from within. In the center floated a platform, suspended above a swirling pool of blue energy that hummed with power. Around the chamber, Zirin advisors observed silently, their patterns shifting in fascination. Elias's stomach tightened. What exactly is the trial? He asked, though he already suspected it would test more than physical skill. Vera extended a hand and a holographic map projected from her palm, showing a jagged terrain on a distant moon. You must retrieve an artifact from the obsidian caverns. It is guarded by both natural dangers and creatures designed to challenge intelligence, courage, and adaptability. No human has ever attempted this. Elias felt a thrill. This was unlike any diplomatic mission he had faced. There would be no negotiations, no translators, only him, his wits, and his human ingenuity against a foreign world. The journey began aboard a sleek, gravity-defying craft. Elias watched Zirin cities shrink below him, their crystalline towers sparkling like jewels in the morning light. The ship passed through asteroid belts, dodging debris with a precision that would have been impossible for any human pilot. Thankfully, Vera's craft was automated. When they arrived at the moon, the landscape was stark and alien. Black rock stretched endlessly, jagged peaks piercing the red sky. A thick fog clung to the ground, hiding the terrain and the dangers that awaited. The air was thin, and Elias's suit regulated his oxygen and temperature, but even then, the alien environment tested him immediately. This is your path, Vera said, pointing to a narrow trail that disappeared into the mist. Remember, Captain Ward, the trial measures both skill and judgment. Choose wisely, act boldly, and do not underestimate the unknown. Elias nodded, gripping his walking staff. The first step into the fog felt surreal. Every sense was alert, every instinct sharpened. He could hear faint echoes in the distance, movements, whispers, or perhaps the wind playing tricks. Almost immediately, the first challenge presented itself. A chasm stretched across the path too wide for him to leap. The edges were slippery, the mist obscuring depth and danger. He paused, analyzing the situation. His human mind began calculating possibilities. Could he use the staff to anchor himself to the rocks? Could he fashion a bridge from the debris scattered nearby? Using fragments of metal and a coil of rope from his survival kit, Elias rigged a makeshift bridge. Each step was tense, each movement deliberate. When he finally crossed, he allowed himself a small, victorious smile. Even in alien conditions, human adaptability proved effective. No sooner had he crossed than a rumble echoed through the valley. From the mist emerged creatures unlike anything he had studied. Beings with translucent skin, multiple legs, and eyes that glowed in shifting colors. They moved in coordinated patterns, clearly intelligent and assessing him as a threat. Elias crouched, considering his options. Direct confrontation would be suicide, but humans had a unique advantage: creativity. He noticed a nearby crystalline outcrop that reflected light. Using it as a mirror, he redirected sunlight into the creature's eyes, confusing them. They hesitated, giving him just enough time to dash to safety. As he pressed onward, the terrain became increasingly treacherous. Lava-like rivers glowed red beneath narrow walkways. Winds howled through rock formations, carrying a chemical scent that made breathing difficult even with his suit. Elias's muscles burned, but he kept moving. Each obstacle tested not only his physical endurance, but also his patience and ingenuity. Hours passed and night fell. The moon's two pale suns disappeared below the horizon, leaving only dim starlight. Elias set up a small shelter and allowed himself a brief rest. He reviewed the day's events. Every challenge had been overcome with cleverness, improvisation, and calm under pressure. The Zirins had underestimated humans, and he had already proven some of their doubts wrong. But the trial was far from over. The next morning, he reached the entrance to the obsidian caverns. The opening yawned like a dark maw, and he could feel the hum of alien energy resonating from deep within. Inside, the air was thick and heavy, and the path twisted unpredictably. The walls shimmered with veins of glowing minerals, lighting the caverns in eerie patterns. Immediately, the caverns tested his senses. Illusions appeared in his peripheral vision, shifting shapes that seemed alive. Strange sounds echoed from every corner, disorienting him. Elias reminded himself to rely on logic. His human mind could differentiate between instinctive fear and reality. He marked his path, leaving small luminescent markers that he had carried from the ship. Then came the next challenge, a puzzle of ancient technology. A massive gate blocked his path, inscribed with alien symbols that shifted as he looked at them. It was a test of reasoning, pattern recognition, and observation. Elias studied the gate carefully, noticing subtle inconsistencies in the symbol's movement. He experimented with sequences, drawing on basic logic and trial and error, until the gate recognized his solution and opened with a low, resonant hum. The deeper he went, the more dangerous the caverns became. Floors collapsed underfoot. Walls emitted bursts of energy, and the creatures guarding the artifact grew bolder. Elias had to combine every skill he possessed: agility, strategy, and quick thinking. He remembered Vera's words. Trust is earned when one steps into the unknown. Every decision counted. Hesitation could mean failure, but reckless action could mean death. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he reached a massive chamber. In the center, suspended on a pedestal of glowing crystal, was the artifact. It was small, unassuming to a human eye. Yet the energy radiating from it was undeniable. Elias approached cautiously. Sensors on his suit detected fluctuations in the artifact's energy, deliberate defenses designed to test intelligence and patience. He carefully examined the pedestal, noticing that pressure and movement affected the energy field. Using a combination of precise weight distribution and leverage, he lifted the artifact without triggering the protective energy surge. A low vibration ran through the chamber, signaling success. Elias allowed himself a deep breath. He had done it. He had overcome every challenge of the trial of trust, relying on human ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. The way back was not easy. The creatures and traps were still active, and the caverns seemed to react to his presence as if alive. But Elias had learned the patterns, adapted to the dangers, and pressed onward with determination. He emerged into the light of dawn on the alien moon, artifact in hand, exhausted but triumphant. Vera waited at the landing site, her expression inscrutable. "You have completed the trial of trust," she said. "Few beings, even among my own species, could have succeeded. Your actions demonstrate courage, intelligence, and resourcefulness. You have shown the best of humanity." Elias handed her the artifact. "It was not easy, Your Majesty. But I suppose humans have a way of adapting when it matters most." Vera's golden eyes softened ever so slightly. "Indeed. Your species' unpredictability and creativity are strengths that cannot be taught or replicated. You have proven that humans are more than newcomers. You are worthy of respect and perhaps even allies." The Ziran advisors who had accompanied them murmured among themselves. Many were visibly impressed. The human's reputation, long underestimated, was beginning to shift. As they returned to the palace, Elias reflected on the journey. The trial had been more than a test of skill. It had been a lesson in humanity's unique power. Humans survived not because of brute strength alone, but because of intelligence, courage, and the ability to think in ways no other species could. When they reached the throne room, Vera spoke again. "Captain Ward, you have succeeded where most would fail. The trial is complete, and your species has earned a place in our consideration. This union, begun by a simple jest, may become a foundation for the galaxy's future." Elias smiled, though he was still catching his breath. A joke, a spark of humor, and human ingenuity had carried him through. He realized that this was only the beginning. The challenges ahead would be greater, the stakes higher, but humanity had proven it could rise to the occasion. For the first time, Elias felt a sense of pride that went beyond personal accomplishment. This was about humans as a whole. Their resourcefulness, creativity, and courage were being recognized by an alien queen and a civilization far older and more powerful than Earth itself. The return to the Ziran palace felt like a victory march, yet Captain Elias Ward could sense that the real challenges were only beginning. Word of his success in the trial of trust had spread quickly through the palace, reaching not only Vera and her council, but also rival factions within the Galactic Empire. Some saw the humans' ingenuity as a threat, a sign that the underestimated species could disrupt the delicate balance of power. Elias had little time to rest. As he descended from the landing platform, Vera motioned him toward the central chamber. "The trial was only the first step," she said, her golden eyes piercing. "Now your courage and intelligence will be tested on a larger scale. You must demonstrate humanity's value not only in survival but in leadership and strategy." He followed, wondering what further trials awaited. He did not have to wait long. The chamber walls shifted, revealing holographic maps of star systems, fleets, and political zones. Vera began to explain the situation. "There are factions that resist this human-Xeran alliance," she said. "Some seek to undermine it through sabotage and aggression. You will lead a mission to secure an important neutral system that is being threatened. Your species' ingenuity and adaptability will be key. Failure is not an option." Elias studied the maps. The system in question was a strategic hub, rich in resources and trade routes, currently under threat from a coalition of hostile alien races. Conventional tactics might work for Xeran fleets, but Vera emphasized that the enemy anticipated predictable strategies. This was where human unpredictability would make the difference. He accepted the mission, aware that it was not just about diplomacy or skill, it was about proving humanity's worth to the galaxy. The journey to the neutral system was tense. Elias commanded a hybrid human-Xeran vessel, combining Earth's ingenuity and modular design with alien technology. The enemy forces were formidable, but Elias quickly realized that the predictable Xeran battle formations were ill-suited to counter unconventional tactics. He relied on human creativity, improvising maneuvers and using environmental advantages to outsmart the enemy. When the fleet reached the contested system, Elias directed a diversion using smaller scout ships to lure part of the hostile fleet into asteroid fields. They navigated the debris with precision and speed, a feat that would have been impossible for many alien pilots. Humans' quick thinking allowed them to exploit every weakness, but the enemy was clever. They adapted, forcing Elias to think several steps ahead. Using holographic projections, he created illusions of larger fleets, tricking the enemy into overextending. He also engineered temporary energy disruptions, exploiting the neutral system's gravitational anomalies to disable key enemy ships without causing lasting harm. Vera observed from her flagship, silently impressed. "Humans do not rely on brute strength alone," she said to her advisors. "They anticipate, improvise, and act with precision. Their value is beyond simple measures of power." The battle raged for hours. Elias's human ingenuity continued to prove decisive. He coordinated strikes that combined timing, misdirection, and rapid adaptation. Each success built morale among the mixed human-Xeran crews, who began to trust his leadership and strategies. The enemy, frustrated by unpredictability, eventually retreated, leaving the system secure. When the battle ended, Elias and Vera stood together on the command deck, looking out at the stars. The system was safe, the fleets reorganized, and the neutral planets untouched. Humanity had proven itself not only capable of surviving alien challenges, but of leading in complex, high-stakes situations. Vera finally spoke, her tone carrying both respect and admiration. "Captain Ward, your species has accomplished what many of my people believed impossible. You have demonstrated courage, intelligence, and leadership. You have proven that humans are not to be underestimated." Elias allowed himself a small smile. He thought of how far humanity had come, from being a minor presence in the galaxy to earning respect and recognition through sheer adaptability and ingenuity. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he said. "We have much to learn from each other, but humans are ready to rise to the challenge." The return to the Xeran palace was triumphant. The advisors who had once doubted humans now spoke of them with newfound respect. Vera formally acknowledged Elias's success, declaring that the human species had earned a place of honor in Xeran alliances and interstellar trade councils. But the story was not over. Rival factions still lingered, envious of humanity's sudden rise. Rumors spread of conspiracies and attempts to undermine the new alliance. Elias knew that the true test would be sustaining respect and proving that human ingenuity was not a one-time phenomenon. In the following days, he worked closely with Vera, helping to implement new systems of cooperation between humans and Xerans. His ideas were unorthodox but effective. Humans' ability to find simple yet effective solutions to complex problems impressed alien engineers and leaders alike. They began to realize that the value of humanity lay not just in technology or numbers, but in creativity, courage, and adaptability. During these interactions, Elias and Vera developed a mutual respect that went beyond political necessity. She admired his cleverness, his calm under pressure, and his determination to think differently. He in turn admired her wisdom, strategic brilliance, and the strength required to rule a civilization so vast and complex. One evening, they walked along the palace balcony, overlooking the city. The twin moons cast silvery light over the crystalline towers, and Elias felt a sense of possibility, unlike anything he had known on Earth. "You have changed the way my people see humans," Vera said quietly, "not through strength alone, but through qualities that cannot be replicated or predicted. That is why this unusual bond is so significant." Elias chuckled softly, and to think it all started with a joke. Vera's smile was slight, but it carried warmth. A bold, foolish joke, yes, but one that revealed the truth about your species. Sometimes courage comes in unexpected forms. In the following weeks, humanity's reputation grew. Humans were invited to serve in advisory roles, mediate disputes, and contribute to technological development across allied systems. They were no longer newcomers or pawns. They were respected partners, admired for qualities that alien civilizations often overlooked: ingenuity, adaptability, courage, and humor. Elias reflected on the journey. From a simple jest in the presence of a queen to surviving deadly trials and leading a fleet to victory, he realized that humanity's strength lay in what made them unpredictable and resourceful. Aliens may have been stronger, faster, or more technologically advanced, but humans had something unique, a combination of intelligence, courage, and creativity that could reshape the galaxy. A formal ceremony was held to mark humanity's official inclusion in the Ziran Alliance. Vera stood beside Elias as she addressed the council and dignitaries from across the galaxy. "Humanity has proven its worth," she declared. "They have faced challenges, demonstrated courage, and shown ingenuity beyond our expectations. Let this day mark a new era of cooperation and respect." The council erupted in murmurs and applause. Many were skeptical at first, but Elias had proven them wrong. He felt the weight of his responsibilities, but also the pride of representing a species capable of achieving greatness in a galaxy that had long doubted them. That night, Elias and Vera met privately in the palace gardens, a space of quiet reflection and calm. "You have done more than I imagined," she said. "Your species is remarkable, Captain Ward. I believe that together we can shape a future that no one could foresee." Elias nodded. "It's just the beginning, Your Majesty. Humans will continue to rise, not because we are the strongest, but because we are clever, brave, and willing to face the unknown. We survive, we adapt, and we learn. That is what makes us formidable." Vera's golden eyes shone with approval. "Then let this be a partnership, not only of convenience, but of trust. Let the galaxy see what humans and Zirans can achieve together." As Elias looked at the twin moons reflecting in the crystalline towers, he felt hope and determination. Humanity had stepped into the stars, not as passive observers but as active participants, ready to face whatever the galaxy could throw at them. The joke that had begun it all, the jest about marriage, had become a symbol of human audacity. It had sparked curiosity, challenged assumptions, and ultimately led to recognition of human ingenuity. Now humans were respected, admired, and feared in ways they had never been before. Elias knew the road ahead would not be easy. Rival factions would continue to test them, and new challenges would arise. But he also knew that humans were capable of incredible feats when pushed to the limits. Adaptability, courage, and clever thinking had carried them through impossible situations before, and they would continue to do so. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for too long. Captain Elias Ward had shown that humans could not only survive but thrive in the face of alien intelligence, deadly trials, and political intrigue. And in doing so, for the first time, Elias allowed himself to feel the full weight of triumph. Humans had not just endured, they had excelled. They had proven that courage, wit, and ingenuity were forces that even the most advanced alien civilizations could not ignore. As he stood with Vera, looking at the glowing city beneath them,